What's up, everyone? Nate Everyday I'm Hustling, and today me and Picksburgh are going to talk about our first steps of building our business beyond just one person. So I'm going to dive right into that footage.
The important thing would just be finding some help that I can trust, because essentially I'm going to be like, here's access to thousands of dollars of inventory and cash at any given time. You know what I mean? So essentially I'm going to have to be able to trust whoever, I kind of bring into work next to me.
Yeah, I mean, buying bulk when you're by yourself can only get you so far. You know what I mean? And that's what really made me look at things a little bit differently. Like when I first started doing, reselling and everything, like I felt like I can only get so big. With Amazon, it kind of, was able to really stretch that beyond what I even thought was possible.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that like I can ship it off to them and still have basically my normal time frame of the stuff I can do normally. So like, when you're using Amazon or other places like that, you're actually having another company do a lot of the work for you, or it's almost like hiring somebody, because now they're shipping, they're pushing your merchandise. I mean, that's the big thing, like trusting somebody to really handle your day to day, or to do something that you could do better. That there's somebody that I heard say this was like, if you could hire somebody that does something 75% as good as you, then hire that person, because you're going to do something you're 100% better elsewhere to make your business better. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to find that person that is going to care for your business or appreciate, do the work that you're going to do, that you're going to put into it, because that's your business, that's your baby. So going forward, I would love to just be the buyer, where I'm out working the networking and everything else, and trying to figure out where the next best move is. Where can I save money on freight? Where can I do this, instead of worrying about, oh, I got to ship this, list this, do this, pack this, because just doing merchant field for that, a few days here and there, really super heavy, it burned me out. I mean, I also work a full-time job too, so that didn't make things easier. But, I mean, that's the main thing for me, is I don't want to be just a small 1-2 person operation. Like, I want to be where I have like 5 or 6 people, or a team, to at least go so far, and then at that point I can get bigger and grow out as things progress. You know what I mean? I know that you have that you have everything kind of in the works for your thing. Does that ever come into your thought of kind of how you want to expand? I always think like chess. You know what I mean? I'm always like 5 steps ahead, even though I'm nowhere near where I need to be to get there. I'm always trying to game plan. So just trying to see what kind of thoughts you have on something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have ideas and ambitions in that regard. Now, I'm not as like strategically minded as you. Like I'm always trying to, better myself. I'm always trying to set myself up for the best possible situation. But I'm also more of a spontaneous type of person. You know what I mean? And I kind of just like let my day come to me. Like I have a goal each day, like kind of what I want to do and what I want to kind of accomplish. But as far as how I'm going to do it or how I'm going to accomplish it, it's just kind of like one of those up in the air type things. Now, moving into this, like knowing that that's the way that my personality is, typically what I have to do in a business venture like that is I have to build myself some form of structure, or, some kind of logistical web to like kind of help support, kind of my shortcoming in that department, because I'm not the most organized person. I'm also not the most I don't want to say attentive to things, you know what I mean? So like knowing that those are some weaknesses that I deal with, going into things, I kind of have to build like a lot of structure to kind of work within. So as far as that goes, like I haven't built said structure or anything like that yet. So really anything that I say I'm going to do would just honestly be talking out my rear end right now. So just being transparent, that's like, I know myself. So like, that's something that like I have to do up front, is really just set solid boundaries for myself to work within, because I know that if not, then I'm not going to accomplish things on the level that needs to be done to make it be a successful venture.
I was lucky enough to have my dad kind of show me a lot of the business side of things. He still runs a business today, And I've been with him doing that basically all the way up since I was 5. So I was able to see a lot of the good, the bad, the ugly of business, and kind of, see how to scale, understand why he did this and did that. So it definitely helped me prepare to be in the kind of predicament where I'm at now, where I could easily grow this thing out as long as, all my ducks in a row. I have a good idea of where I need to be at to go, because I look at all the other stuff that's involved with growing a business out, with costs like salaries and say if I was moving into a business, or like not a business, but into a building, like the insurances, the rent, like all that type of stuff. It adds up,
Exactly.
because, with all that expense, that's more profit that you have to make to be able to cover that. So you have to go, okay, well, if I'm going to do this move, where am I going to be able to cover or make up ground to cover for this? And then from that point on, even though you might, break even with your business growing, now you're able to go after more stuff to make more money where it's worth the move. Because you can always go back down if it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's the one thing that we would all hate to do, having to say lay off somebody or kind of go backwards. If you do things kind of in the right kind of order, you can kind of set yourself up where it's not like a huge downfall, where say, you had 30 employees and now you're down to 4. You know what I mean? That would be a huge step. Where say if I went in increments of 5, where I go from like 20, 25 to 30, okay, that didn't work out. Let's go back to 25. I'm able to grow things through steps. And a lot of that is just, just trying to look forward. Like, I know that you, like you said, like you're kind of have some shortcomings and you're not, really visualizing that type of steps yet, but that's kind of where like I'm at. Like for my business, like my first step is, of course, when with that, a lot of people is going to be hiring that first person, you know what I mean? Where they're coming in from say 20 to 40 hours a week, and they're either going to list or they're going to pack. And then after that, of course, bring another person in and have one person handle each of the responsibilities of one does the listing, one does the packing. And then that would free me up to be just a buyer, I mean, really attacking my area and Facebook and everything else to really bring stuff in. So, I mean, that's probably the first 2 steps anyone's going to have move forward, is just kind of creep into the 1 employee, 2 employee situation. And then, as your space gets built up, then you got to start looking at buildings or maybe even storefronts or whatever. Or if you have the circumstance where you have, I mean, it's kind of a, a home run right off the bat being able to get that type of building. So that kind of skips not having to have someone right away. You might need 1 person maybe, because you're going to have to have someone in the storefront to keep it open.
I think that's essentially the first employee I'm going to look to hire is like a store manager, and their role is going to be to kind of like oversee, the operation of the store. Like, I mean, obviously I'll be overseeing everything, but like, I want this to be like somebody that I can trust to be there 5 days a week and to make sure that the store's always stocked and, like whatever it needs, you know what I mean? So like, that's the one piece of information that I already know is like kind of non-negotiable for me. I need to at least have somebody I could have in there 30 to 40 hours a week, just to make sure that if, something needs to happen on my end, I can make it happen. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to need to be out there grinding to be able to cover whatever, overheads are going to come from this. Because figure right off the bat, I'm going to need to cover a weekly paycheck for somebody. And that's a pretty big responsibility. So if I'm worried constantly about, every little thing within the store, I'm not going to be able to really put the focus I need to do things on the scale I need to make sure that not only are my bills taken care of, but like this person's bills are taken care of, because that's a pretty big thing. Because like I've shared in the past that I learned eBay really well by being a lister and working for somebody in the past. Now I've been in the position in the past, like through this person I worked for, if they were having a bad week, I would get the shaft. They'd be like, I'm sorry, like, I don't have enough money to cover your salary this week type thing. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, I've already worked like an entire week. You know what I mean? What do you mean you can't cover my salary? So being that I've been in that position before, like I never want to put anybody else in that position. So just knowing up front, like kind of the things that I'm going to have to work around. And honestly, like planning and operating a church had really been helpful in the fact that essentially like I already had business that needed to be opened and available basically 24/7. So I already have a little bit of experience in that, in running something like that. Now, granted, this would be a completely different type of business, because you don't typically think of church and ministry and, worshiping the Lord as a business, but there's a ton of logistics. Like, the building needs to stay like with power, needs to stay warm. All those things like need to happen. So like, essentially you do need to run the back office very much like a business. So being that I have ample experience like fully running and operating church, like every aspect of it, because since me and my wife started it from scratch, we didn't have basically any employees off the bat. So we basically had to do basically everything that I would have to do for this thing for that. The nice thing is we have products that people will want to come and buy that are going to be at the store. Like at the church, like we were completely relying on like donations. Like I already off the bat know that like I have a way better chance of being profitable. Plus it's going to be in a better neighborhood than I live in too. So that would bring in a little bit more, I don't want to say affluent, because it's not a rich neighborhood by any stretch of the means, but it's definitely got people with more money living in that part of town than they do in my part of town. So like that should be a little bit good as well. But I mean, this is all stuff that I've really been putting some thought into. Normally what I do though is I do meet with, I have a few business advisors that were connected via my church. Even whenever I started my e-com business, like we sat down and we did a business plan, because I know myself, like unless like I sit down and do something the right way, I'm going to end up screwing it up or not doing something. So this is all something I'm going to sit down with like the people that have helped me with business stuff in the past. Obviously Nate will probably have a piece of my ear as well, as far as like advice and stuff, because I value his opinion on business and stuff like that as well. I think this is going to be an awesome opportunity. And I really do think like liquidation and stuff is going to play a pretty key part, like probably not a 100% part, but I would say I could very easily see it 20 to 30% of our inventory being liquidation. Whenever I have to always have inventory.
The one thing that if I was going to open up some type of storefront or anything like that, first thing I would probably bring in the door, and of course, you definitely want to look into the liquidation and the storage stuff, but the one thing I would also look into is like the wholesale side of things, because that will kind of help bring in a nice streamline of basically products and different things. And also if you're doing some of the Amazon stuff, it will also open up doors on that avenue as well, being gated in different things, because there is some products that you buy wholesale that you're not allowed to sell on Amazon or eBay, which might seem weird, but they have like basically some type of agreement with the wholesale company that we're not allowed to post it on there. So you can list on Mercari, you could do Facebook Marketplace, and then having a storefront, it gives you kind of one of the few areas where maybe this item is available to the public. So it kind of helps bring a nice little draw. GameStop, they have been running off of video games and Funkos. So now with the Funkos and the video games, whenever a new game comes out, people run to the store usually or buy it online. You have something that maybe the people that are coming in that are playing cards or doing whatever, your customers, that they enjoy, and now you're buying specific items for the customer, which, you're not going to make a ton of money, but it helps bring in and pay that employee. You know what I mean? It helps kind of supplement some of that cost. So now the other stuff that you have selling online or in the store, other than that wholesale, that is very profitable, is going to be more gravy for your business, and that is going to help your profitability and help cover those costs. So my thought, like basically if I would do something, it would definitely have some wholesale, definitely have the awesome stuff that we find at garage sales and things like that as well.
Yeah. And honestly, like something I've told Marty already is like, I don't mind going through some of my wholesale contacts and like ordering in, like, for example, like say like Mandalorian, Baby Yoda stuff. Now, I don't care if I'm getting that in, say, making like $1 per unit. Is that really worth it in the long run? Now, if I'm buying it to sell on eBay, heck no. But if I'm buying it to drive traffic to my location and people will come to buy a new hot item, it's the same model as a gas station has, right? They're not getting rich selling you gas, but you need the gas. So they'll continue to sell the gas so that you'll get gas and maybe go in there and buy a breakfast sandwich or a bag of chips or a sandwich or something that they are going to make really good ROI on. So like, that's definitely something like I'd already talked to Marty about, basically saying, I don't mind going after those new hot items, as long as we're not losing money on it, because the idea is if it's going to drive people to want to come to be like shopping regularly at the store, then I'll buy all that stuff and put it out. You know what I mean? That's completely fine with me. Yeah. But yeah, by the same point, I don't want to go like too like overboard with that either. But I definitely think like the right items can definitely produce a good result like that. For example, like we want to apply for the Panini licensing and stuff to see if we can get like hobby boxes and stuff like that. Maybe even make a corner of the store like strictly just trading cards type thing. And you and I have talked about maybe having like a little area where I could like have like Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh nights and stuff like that. Like I want it to be, since there's going to be an arcade, I kind of want it to kind of have a little bit of a social feel too. Kind of what I've been like leaning towards a little bit, like kind of the feel. Like, how Mike's is when you go to Ohio and you go in and the restaurant just feels like a picker's paradise. I kind of want that to be kind of like the feel of like the place, you know what I mean? Where there's just stuff everywhere, like cool stuff everywhere you look, kind of like pizzas. But yeah, I think that'd be a really cool concept to have, just like a picker's paradise, because essentially that's the demographic I'm going to be looking for. And, like ideally I would like my store to be a place that people can actually come buy stuff and make money too. You know what I mean? Because obviously I'm not going to be charging eBay prices at retail. Even though technically it's retail, I probably could charge eBay prices. I'll probably still be, under those prices, just like they do in the show. A lot of them are 30 to 40% cheaper than eBay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with having that type of crowd in coming in your store, the wholesale stuff would be great. The cards, all that type of stuff. So now you're selling to a market, and your market's, the younger generation, which is going to be all the cool stuff and the toys. And, if you got video games that you found at different places or the systems, I mean, that kind of all works hand in hand. Now you're like, it's a cool place to hang out. And, with you having the background that you have, working inside the church and stuff, it's going to be a safe place for kids to be too. So, I think that would be a great story to be able to put out, to kind of market for, for your store and stuff like that. Like, look, I was a former pastor or a priest or whatever, and I'm opening up this place for kids to have a great place to go, to get out the streets and to enjoy and have a hobby or play a video game or an arcade or whatever. So I think that could be something that you could really push forward pretty heavy, and would be great marketing for your your business coming up soon. So hopefully
I definitely think like either way, we're going to have some kind of arm in the community, like as far as community outreach and stuff like that. Cause that's always been my heart, is just to like give back. So that's definitely something that we'll probably do. Like whether we have like a free night for kids or something like that, like we'll definitely figure that out going forward. But yeah, we definitely want to be like a pillar of the community, because like every place I've ever set up, that's kind of like been our MO, is like we want people to be excited that we're here. Oh, that's cool, there's a new store, but like we want it to be like a place where people come do life with us type of thing. And the nice thing is like I plan to incorporate like YouTube and all that stuff in it as well. So be able to fully integrate like both kind of communities and both aspects of my life, I think would be pretty cool.
Definitely. I mean, when I was a kid, there was, I was playing cards, being at a place similar to what we're talking about right now. And, I had a lot of fun there. I remember my dad dropped me off and, hanging out there for hours, playing cards, trading cards, and, collecting, opening packs. And then there was cards in the case, prices were always a little bit high, but, it's what you got to pay for to run a business. It's a different beast to deal with, because it's a great place to be, but you also got to pay your bills too. So I think whatever you're going to do, I think it's going to be like you said, it's going to be great for the community. And also, you always talk about marketing and having to let people know you're there. What better way to do it is than doing something like that, where you're giving back to the community, or giveaway or whatever that you're going to be doing. And, it's going to let people know like, hey, we're here. And, this can be a great place for everyone to kind of hang out. Like no worries, no nonsense. So,
and the nice thing too, when you have that atmosphere, another aspect of business that is super good ROI, concession stands. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to like build a little concession stand, but I might have a little corner of the room that might have like vending machines or different snacks and stuff like that kids or whoever might want to buy.
Definitely. I mean, it all kind of works into, to like the whole, yeah, well, I guess you could buy wholesale with that type of stuff too, or you can go to like Sam's Club and buy bulk and a bunch of stuff and stuff like that too. So yeah, I mean, people are going to be there for hours. They're going to buy snacks and pop and stuff like that, and it kind of pays for them to kind of hang out there in a way. You know what I mean? So
we used to make a killing on concessions with all of our wrestling events we used to put on, because you figure people are going to be there for several hours. They're going to get hungry. They're going to get thirsty. Like, they won't think twice to go and drop like $1 on a can of pop, $2 on a hot dog type of thing. So that's something that I'll probably have. Like, I don't know that I'll have hot foods or anything like that, but I'll definitely have like chips and candy, pops and stuff like that.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it'll definitely help keep you profitable, and they'll appreciate it, because I know I did, because like you said, you're kind of stuck there, and depending on what's around you, there probably might not be anywhere to get stuff like that. So then they would have to leave, and that's always a worry for like a parent. Like, if I want to drop my son off, like, is he gonna have to leave here for any type of reason? So as long as you have the basis covered with a little bit of food and drink, I mean, they're gonna be there, and they'll be playing, having fun, and doing whatever with cards and collectibles and the arcade and stuff too. So
hey guys, do us a favor. Before you click off this video today, make sure you go down below and check to see if you're subscribed to Nate. If you're not, make sure you take that red button and you punch it with your mouse till it becomes gray. And then you want to go and click that bell notification so you don't miss any of these show recordings, because we're going to be dropping them all the time. They're going to be epic. You won't want to miss any of them. And then go down to that description and make sure you click the link that says Picksburgh and go over there and subscribe too, because we're doing really cool content on my channel as well, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you. Stay awesome.